Wrap it up and stop. Okay, eyes up here. I want to ask you guys, are you guys okay if I ask you to do some hard things tonight? Okay, some of you may not like this part. As you look at how your spouse receives love, what would unconditional love look like from you? To what? To what? Yeah, to do it. And here's where I say it's hard. In marriage, have we not been hurt before? Do we sometimes not have reasons for not wanting to love each other with what their love language is? Yeah. Friends, I'm going to tell you that when you've been loving each other with the wrong love languages, you can create abuse, vindictive energy. You can create a lack of healing. You can create a lot of what you really don't want for your marriage entity. And I'm going to share, because Eric said something really profound when he shared that your love language can also be weaponized. It can be what? You take something that is, friends, your love language, it's not like you can program that. There's something core to who you are and how you function as a human being. I've sometimes played with my love languages and it's like, can I develop new ones? Can I shut certain love languages down? Like, can I mess with them? And I don't know what your success has been with that or if you've ever tried it, but for me, there's something very elemental to how I feel and receive love. So you have the ability to help your spouse feel like the most amazing human being on the planet. But let me ask you, can you weaponize their love language? What would that look like? Withholding. Or keeping track. You owe me. We're doing a trade thing, right? I'll love you if you love me. That wasn't the agreement either. That's a 50-50, not 100-100. So I'm going to ask and invite you to rise above any of that history that you might have, and I'm going to invite you to step in like a virgin, fresh and new, to the idea all over again that you're willing to love your spouse the way that they receive it. Everybody, stand up. You've been sharing with each other what your love languages are. You've been sharing with each other the top 3 ways that you could receive love from them. And if we're talking about an unconditional marriage, a what? If we're talking about an unconditional marriage, I'm going to invite you right now to make a commitment that honors you to your spouse. I'm going to invite you to make a commitment of how you choose to love them with the ways they are requesting it, because that is what the most unconditional expression would look like. Whether it's your love language or not, this is about how you can love them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this time with the ladies, and we're going to invite you to get really connected to your husband. And ladies, you're going to start this conversation of the ways I'm committed to loving you. Begin. Ten more seconds, ladies. Make it good. And seal that commitment with a smooch. There's a great love energy in my home right now. I'm bottling it right now. It's called Essence of Unconditional Love. Oh, dude. Unconditional love. All right, men, it's your opportunity right now to share with your wife your commitment and desire to love them with their love language. Do this as honestly and authentically as you possibly can. Begin. 10 more seconds. And go ahead and seal that with a smoochie. All right, and go ahead and have a seat. So I'd love to get a little bit of feedback on what you're experiencing. Also, if you have questions on live stream, we're inviting you to share those. Carson will take a look for those and cue those up front for us. What are you experiencing?
Well, a lot of love. I had a thought pop up, though, as we were talking about our love languages. We share the same love language of touch, and when we shut down from each other, neither of us wants to receive our love language, and it's the same, so it's like a mega shutdown. And so it's really important to watch out for those shutdowns because, I mean, they get big fast.
That's a great comment. We're actually going to talk about that and what you can do together. How many of you would like to have better tools for when you shut down or your spouse shuts down so you can get back to your beautiful equilibrium? We're going to talk about that.
I had a great breakthrough because I've had issue with the question of how can I love you today? And actually receiving that question and coming up with a good answer. So my breakthrough was, what if it's not a specific thing? What if today I need words of affirmation, or today I need a gift, today I need more physical touch? That I understand a lot better than come up with a specific thing that you can do for me.
Beautiful. Does that work, friends? It does. Awesome. Let's get one more right here. Michelle?
I'm just noticing this unique limitless thing I learned to do is to create. And what we're literally doing is creating. This is our new marriage manifesto here. And we both have been so focused on what isn't working and what we don't want and what we're so fed up with, that to see something positive and beautiful being created here is so humbling. And I can see how it is going to take life and grow.
How many of you have a commitment to a fantastic story of what isn't working between you and your spouse? Who's got a good one, right? It's like, you guys know what I'm talking about. You either dwell on it, think about it. It shows up on a probably near daily basis. Maybe it's something you talk about, argue about, fight about. How many of you have something like that in your life? Put your hands up if you do. Yeah. You want to know the first step to making that go away? Stop investing in it. Like, you're just using all this resource, emotion, and energy for what you don't want. It's such a great comment. Awesome. All right, so up until this point, friends, we've been talking about this unconditional love stuff, and I want to close this part of this chapter with inviting every one of us to participate in the 30-day unconditional love challenge. We have a lot of our Mexico contingency that is already engaged in this because we had a beautiful vow renewal process that Tracy Roberts facilitated that was incredible in Mexico. But for the rest of you that don't know what this game, how many of you don't know what the 30-day unconditional love game is? Okay, here's what it is. It has very few rules. Clem, would you mind writing these up? We'll get a fresh sheet there. Okay, the unconditional love game works this way. This is the best way I have found to stop talking about unconditional love and actually do it. And it begins with every morning asking your spouse, how can I love you today? This is proactive. Now, by the way, your spouse does not need to engage in the game for this to be successful, because unconditional love doesn't require what? It does not require your spouse to participate, or if they participate weak sauce or 100%, it doesn't matter, right? So how can I love you today? And these are the rules. Number one, there's a daily ask. Daily ask. Number two is there is a no matter what, do it. And number three is there's no strings. So Glenn and we play this game often. Right now we're in the middle of playing it, and I tell you, man, by the time we get into our second week of playing this game, it's just always an incredible environment when we get to spend time together. And not only that, but I enjoy what I feel with Glenn when we're not physically in each other's airspace. So asking each other, what can you do to love him today? And then the second part is, what does it mean to do it no matter what? Whatever they ask, if you're contemplating whether you're all in or not, you're what? You're not. You're conditional. So this is the beautiful thing. Whatever Glenn asks, I get to be 100% hell-bent on making happen, or heaven-bent. I get to be 100% committed in what that. But what do I mean by no strings attached? What does that mean? That means that I get to, I honor myself by expecting myself to what? To do it. And even if she's playing the game or if she's not playing the game, I'm not keeping score. Means this is the cool thing. This isn't a trade. So by the way, one day I may do amazing at reciprocating this love, and another day I may not. And by the way, if you're making your own happiness contingent upon how your spouse shows up for you, you have a perfect recipe for being unhappy. You are a conditional being. You think that your spouse is here to make you happy? That is something you'll never be able to control. And if you know that you need a major turnaround in your marriage, I'm going to invite you to play the game without strings attached. And I'm going to invite you to see what gets created in 30 days. In my experience, it's a life-changing experience.
My name's Matt. Hey. A question about the no matter what, do it. I mean, that's very clear. So it's like, what's the question? But if there's times where your spouse isn't aware or you're not aware of something's going on in your spouse's day, let's say you're facilitating a full day at Limitless and for some reason Colleen didn't know it. Yeah, right, I know. But, and she's like, I really could use a trip to the store without the kids today. Could you watch the kids? And the timing for me to do it is this afternoon from like at 2. Would you be available to watch the kids today at 2? And you're like, I'm committed to be at Limitless at that time. I'm on stage. That's not going to work. Like, is there a space where, something might not honor you, what they ask might not honor you at that moment, that day to do it, kind of a thing?
So this is a really good, how many of you think this is a really good question, right? Like, what happens if it's going to be hard to fulfill that thing that they're asking for whatever the circumstance? I want to invite all of you to write this down. I am an expert at making space for my spouse. Yeah, write that down. Be an expert at holding space for your spouse. Here's what that means. It means that if they're off or if they're on, that you're there either way, and that whether you're supporting them is not contingent on whether they woke up on the right side of the bed versus the wrong side of the bed. And so if your spouse, this idea of holding space, if Glenn came to me and asked me something that wasn't going to work for whatever reason, there was a difficult to move thing, then I'm immediately going to go into solution mode. Let me share with you what that conversation might look like. Glenn,
go to the store without the kids. Can I please go to the store without the kids?
Right. And
During Limitless.
yeah, during Limitless. Chris, when you're on stage at 2:00 in the afternoon doing the money breakthrough, I want you to be at the shopping store, and that's the only way I would feel loved.
I'm at the store.
Right. So how that conversation, Matt, might look for holding space is one of two things. The first one is I'm actually going to think, wow, if I could totally go out of my way to make it happen, if there was some way, then, by the way, who's the hero here? So if there was ever a time to go out of my way to show my wife love, it's going to be not when it's convenient. It's going to be when it's what? It's going to be when it's inconvenient. So I might first just question, could there be a way? Is there a solution? And if for whatever reason, circumstance was not going to allow that, then my conversation might be, Glenn, I want to let you know that I hear you. I want to validate that I hear you communicating that this afternoon at 2:00, you'd like me to go and take the kids shopping so you can have that break or that you can go shopping or however I got 2 ears, but I'm using one of them. Okay. Give me a break. Hold space for me. You want to go shopping without the kids, and you want me to be with the kids. Got it. Awesome. Am I hearing you correctly? Yes. All right. So because what's going to be happening at 2:00 and I'll be on stage, that particular time isn't going to work. But what I do want to do is I want to see if there's any other possible way I can make myself available. I know that there's a 90-minute dinner break, for example, between 6 and 7:30. I know that I could scoot out, get home, and I could probably create 45 minutes to an hour then. And I might have a conversation of how else could I make this happen? What could I do? Because I'm willing and wanting to do whatever I can to show up for you. And that just might be what your best looks like. If you can't bend time or I just put Tracy Roberts on stage, it'd be easy.
So to take this in a completely different direction, in the space of lifting weights at the gym.
I'm going to give you the mic. It sounds like a long question. Here you go.
In the space of resistance and finding resistance in what's being asked, what's way more impressive, being able to lift that little weight and say, okay, I love you, or lifting that, at the gym, your 300 pounds that you're benching, you're saying, I have exercised and found a way, a space to do what I need to do because I have continued to work at it. And I love you, so I will put that effort into you no matter what the resistance is.
Yeah, beautiful comment. Awesome.
Yesterday, I was having a hard day. It was really a tough day for me, and I don't know why. I couldn't even put my finger on it. And Cleve canceled all of his appointments, everything on his schedule. He moved, and he was busy. And he stopped, and he came home in the middle of the day and just said, let's go. And he took me, and we went Christmas shopping, and it was exactly what I needed. And he's dropped everything for me, and it was huge.
Give it up for this amazing Cleveman. Who's been adding hearts to my paper?
Okay, I'm going to be the one to say this. I was the man who said, honey, I want to have sex today. That is how I will receive love from you. And no, it was when I first heard of this principle, ask for what she can do, and then she does it. I'm like, yes, I can have sex every day. So I tried that a couple times, and she said, okay. Well, only a couple, and then I learned because what I learned is there's a difference between wanting to and being ready to, especially when it comes to the physical intimacy. Because, like, in the morning, I could say, having sex today would show me the most amount of love. And she could be totally willing and want to. And then by the end of the day, it has not happened. And then we go to sleep, and there's could be space of you did not show up for me, you did not do what you committed. And on my end, it became recognizing she wants to. She's willing to fulfill. And that space I get to hold for you are showing up the best you know how.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that because many of us in this room are going to have a similar experience. And this last rule of no strings is kind of important. The moment marriage becomes a trade is the moment you go into a 50-50 business commerce. And that was never the intention that any of us set out for. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful.
A side note to that too, I'll just share that Josh and I have had that conversation as well. But something that comes up for me, I have a fair amount of sexual abuse in my past. And sometimes that comes up for me and it makes sexual intimacy difficult. And so I get to be honest with him, whether that's going to be a true connection or if it's going to be something that really creates a bad space for us and ends on a difficult note. And I just wanted to share that for anybody else who has that experience, that's totally fine to stand in your power and where you are with that and say, I would be totally willing. This is my experience right now. How can I create that connection with you outside of that one particular thing?
Yeah, and those are the beautiful parts of life. Those are the fun complications that we each get to face as we figure out how do we honor, how do we figure out, how do we make this happen? And this is what brings me to probably the best thing that I have found. Is it getting cold in here? I'm liking the breeze, but ladies, if you're getting cold. So what I want to do is I want to transition our conversation, and I want to start getting into some of the more challenging conversations. The thing that I love about having this conversation with you all here in the inner circle is that we are all engaged in learning belief breakthrough, right? And whether you are trying to get yourself certified, I hope that is something that every one of you is going for. And you want to know the biggest reason why I want you to get certified? You understand that certification is a beginning. Certification is not mastery, friends. Becoming protege and then getting certified. Listen, if it's not for your business or for helping out your kids or helping the neighbor or professional mentoring business, there are two amazing reasons to make sure you get breakthrough. And the first one is that you jacked up. And when you're messed up, you got to find a way to move forward. And if you can get to the point where you can do breakthrough on yourself, oh my goodness. How many of you love the idea of shaving days or weeks or years off of the things that used to hold you back? What if you became so self-aware that you were only stuck for a minutes before you move forward? Friends, I hope that if you haven't, I'm inviting you to renew it right now, that you want to master belief breakthrough for you. But there's a second reason that I love maybe even more. The greatest intimacy I have shared with my wife, the most touching moments that have advanced our love and marriage and problems forward, has been our ability to do belief breakthrough with each other. And I'm going to invite you to cut down your learning curve, because we have a lot of you here in this group that you're resistant to doing belief breakthrough work in the first place. But I'm going to invite you to consider a new reason for learning breakthrough at a mastery level, so that you and your wife can enjoy, or you and your spouse can enjoy what it is to be able to break through what's not working. Because Glenn and I was having this conversation earlier today with Josh at my house. He said something that I just thought showed such amazing depth of character. We were talking about how financially motivated he is in life. And there are so many goals and aspirations that he has. He just looked in my eyes and he said, no one else was watching. He just said, Chris, whether I become a millionaire doing what I love or not, the bottom line is if I get to fulfill my purpose, no matter how financially successful I am or not, really doesn't matter to me. And I admired the comment, because one of my addictions has been, you may never have heard of this one before, but it's called successaholism. You guys have heard of workaholics, right? You know what a successaholic is? I've got a great trophy room in my mind palace of all my progress that I've made. It's important to me. It's got this cherished mind palace room where I get to evaluate any part of my life and look, have I made progress on it? And for me, the moment I find weakness, I tackle it, I jump on it, I pounce, and I think, I've got to make this weakness strong. And at times I've done it to the point where I've been distracted from being present, where I've done it to the point where I haven't been seizing the moment. I haven't been even emotionally connecting with those loved ones around me because I've been in the pursuit of something else. And as Josh and I were having this conversation and talking about money and aspirations, I saw so much wisdom in that conversation. I thought, There are so many things in life that are so worthy of striving after that we don't figure out until it's too late. Here's one of the top ones. How many of you would like to make more money? Then in some way, shape, or form, you may experience this sequence. I need more money to be acceptable, more loved, validated, or to please my spouse or take care of my family. So I'm going to go in this pursuit. And maybe a time comes when you're so successful, you look back and can validate yourself and say, I did it. I'm a successaholic. I've got my trophy room filled with all the different ways that I've succeeded. And at that point, I know many, many men that look back and they look at what they traded for that trophy room. There's a trade for success and there's a trade for failure. Both can get in the way of connecting. And it is amazing how few things I really want in my life today, and my wants are so different than they used to be. One of the wants that I have that I absolutely cherish is my ability to have any conversation with my wife. There are no secrets and there is nothing hidden. This woman knows everything about me. She knows my darkest secrets, the skeletons in my closet. She has shared some of my most brilliant and bright moments. She's seen my ego and my anger. I mean, this woman has seen it all. She's experienced all of there is to Chris Crone. And for me, that's something I really value, is there's someone in my life besides me that when I'm struggling, hurt, down, or sad, that I can go to. And that conversation looks like this. Will you be my coach? And I give her the opportunity. She sees if she's in a place to choose in, and then I just get to fall apart and get my breakthrough. It is a gift to live with the person that possesses the skill to get your life moving forward again when you are stuck. So I'm going to invite you to consider a commitment, because by the way, all change happens with a decision. All change happens with a what? Decision. By the way, all miracles are nothing more than a collection of really good what? Decisions, right? You want change that will propel your life forward, you need to make decisions. I'm inviting you to make a critical decision. A decision that a year from now, some of you are going to come back and say, Chris, do you remember that moment? This is one of those moments. This is one of those moments that is worthy of collecting when? Here it is. What would happen if you made the commitment to yourself to learn how to do breakthrough with your wife or husband? Instead of saying, well, I need to get certified first, or instead of saying, I probably need to work on it for a year first, I'm giving you permission when? Right now to choose into it when? Now. And to actually start practicing when? Now. It's a decision. I'll tell you, friends, there are some moments in my life I wish I could time machine back and do some things different. Here was one of them. I had a breakthrough coach for 4.5 years doing thousands of breakthroughs on me before one day I was forced into a corner where my coaches weren't available. I texted all 3 of them. No one could talk to me for I don't know how long, and I was in so much pain. It hurt so bad that I said, fine, maybe I can do it myself. And 30 minutes later, I looked back and I said, oh, wow, I should have tried this out a long time ago. I'm inviting your long time ago, your time to be when? Yeah. Because doing breakthrough with each other, do you think there are going to be some challenge, some stretch marks associated with that one? Yeah, I'm going to give you some guidelines. Can I give you some rules for successful breaking through with your coach, spouse? Can we do that? All right, cool. I've got very few guidelines on this one. Three. It's possible.
Doing them on yourself and doing them with your spouse.
Yes, I would love for you to know how to do breakthrough with yourself. And it's even easier to have someone else facilitate it, and how convenient if it could be a spouse, right? Because how many of you know that your blind spots are kind of hidden from view, right? At some point, I will tell you, and you've experienced this likely, at some point, your blind spots do become visible. And that is when breakthrough work on yourself becomes even more facilitatable, if that's a word. So here are the 3 things I want to invite you to write down. Here's the first rule. Number 1, decide. that you want to learn how to do breakthrough with your spouse. It's cool. You can practice it every day. How many of you saw the acro yoga pictures that Glenn and I posted that Marianne took from Mexico? You guys see that? Glenn and I started learning acro yoga from Josh and Marianne about maybe 5-6 weeks ago, month ago. And I was amazed at how much could be learned in such a short period of time when you work on it. You know something cool about breakthrough with your spouse? Could it be feasible to work on that like 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 times a week? You could get good at this fast, but here are some rules to help you. The first one is, first of all, make the decision. Do I really want to open up that space with my spouse to create that? The second one, this is very important. Only process one trigger at a time. One trigger at a time. I'm not talking about you having multiple triggers. I'm talking about you and your wife each having one simultaneously. Because when you're new to this process, by the way, how many of you notice that when one of you is triggered, both of you is triggered? How many of you find this? Put your hands up. Come on now. If one's triggered, we both triggered. And so this part takes you learning some self-discipline. By the way, is it getting cool enough in here right now? We'll close this for a lady, save the ladies from freezing to death. There we go. All right, and then we'll reopen again in a minute. Thank you. Only deal with one person at a time, because by the way, if you're both triggered, then that means nobody's in Switzerland. The facilitator must be in Switzerland. This is a wonderful neutral country that you want to find yourself in when participating in facilitation for your spouse. So rule number 3, commit to Switzerland. Can everyone say commit to Switzerland? Commit to Switzerland. A little better on accent, please. I commit to Switzerland. I hail from Switzerland. Okay, great. You want the facilitator to be in Switzerland and only willing to do one at a time. So by the way, there's a really good chance that if your spouse is triggered, who do they perceive as the villain? Yeah, probably majority of the time. So here's what you get to learn how to do. This is advanced, and it is advanced, but it is doable when? Now. It's doable when? Now. And what it looks like is, Clint's asking for a breakthrough. And that starts... Before she even says she's mad at me, a beautiful thing I want you to learn how to do is to communicate permission. Can you hold space for me and be my coach? You might want to write those words down. Are you willing to hold space for me and be my coach? And if your spouse ever asks you those questions, here's what that means. This is not about you. Do not make it about you. This is not your time to get triggered, but you will probably feel tempted. So, if I say yes to Glenn, then that means that I get to go right into Switzerland, show my passport, and it means that I get to be available to deal with one issue. Whose issue? Hers. And I'm here to serve who? And if I can maintain my neutrality, who's going to benefit? Bliss. This is an investment into bliss. Okay? So, those basic steps, and I'm going to tell you that they're going to need a little bit of practice. And this rule, if you are facilitating and you get pushed out of Switzerland by your own feet and you become triggered, what do I want you to do? Stop and say, I'll be right back, or I'll be back in a day, or I'll be back when I'm no longer triggered. I'm committed to you. Or it could also be, hey, you may want to post on the Facebook page if someone can help finish this one up. I love you enough that I know that I don't want to be selfish and make this about me. I want to invite you to be mature enough to stick to the rule of one person's trigger at a time. Okay?
And it gets to be their trigger, not the one you think they should be working on.
Thank you. In Switzerland, you don't have agendas, right? You get to simply be there to facilitate like you would for anyone else. You definitely don't get to manipulatively twist words like, try on this new belief. I love doing laundry. I love making love with my spouse every day, right? Not about you. It's about what will honor them. Great comment. All right, do we have anyone here in our group that is certified and wants to come on up here and practice. I'm actually going to go with Amy. Well, Carl, did he raise his hand? I couldn't see if his pinky went up. I'm sorry. Sorry. Qualifier. When I see two couples whose hands are together like this. One couple. All right, friends, let's invite Kirsten and Alex to come up here. This is good. Very good. Come on, you guys. All right. Permission is very important on these things. And the reason why I asked for certified is because I'm inviting you guys to see if it's possible to create a schnellig process. Schnell is German for schnell. Schnell is processes. All right. Okay, first of all, can we give these two a round of applause? Awesome.
All right, so you want us to do it now? Yes. Okay, so you want me to process Alex? Or who do you want? Whose issue?
The issue has the issue.
Do you have an issue? Do you have an issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to hold you? All right.
Start with permission.
Do I have permission to facilitate?
Yes.
All right. So what's coming up for you right now?
I regularly am getting into this space of I really want to make everything financially and all the different little pieces that come because of finances better. But I either lack the time or lack the energy to always be on point to make it happen.
So you want finances to be better. You lack the time to be on point and to make it better, is what you're telling me.
I feel like I'll fail. I feel like it will fail no matter what, either because I'll run out of time or I'll run out of energy.
So you feel like you'll fail no matter what, and what's the belief behind that?
Things that are coming up, like I'm stuck and I'm not good enough and I don't deserve it.
So I'm stuck, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it. Which one resonates the strongest with you?
I'm stuck.
Okay, I'm stuck. So when I say I'm stuck, what is the strongest memory that comes up for you?
The first one that comes up for me right now is actually I'm in middle school and playing out in the snow, and there's this little tunnel somebody's made, and I decide, okay, well, it'll be fun to crawl through it, and one of my friends decides to jump on top of this tunnel, and I literally get my legs stuck in the middle, and I am completely packed in.
So you're crawling through a tunnel, someone jumps on you, you're packed in, your legs are stuck. And in this moment, what did you choose to decide about yourself?
That there are times I'm completely helpless.
Okay, I'm completely helpless. So sometimes we hold on to these beliefs, we hold on to the energy, and it's something that permeates throughout our life. There's a lot of consequences and costs that come with that. As we choose to hold on to the energy and the belief that I'm completely helpless, what costs are you seeing?
So there are times I get to that point where I feel helpless and I get claustrophobic. I want to hide and I just want to quit everything.
So when you want to hide and when you want to quit everything, what does that cost you? What are the consequences?
Well, I lose out on times with friends and people I care about because I'm too busy hiding. I lose out on opportunities that look ambitious, and I'm not giving myself permission to step up and do anymore. This includes in business or in, when it took me forever to complete school because I thought it looked too big at one point. And so that played out in a lot of financial ways. It shows up for me in parenting when I feel overwhelmed with everything that's going on, and I find some other way to deal with the situation rather than actually deal with the issues.
So is this a belief that you want to hold on to?
No.
So we have an opportunity to create a new belief and to release the old energy. And we do this by bringing in a trusted support, someone who can bring in a higher perspective to help us make a new choice and create a new belief about ourselves. So close your eyes and ground and ask yourself, who is the trusted support I would like to bring in?
At this point, I want to bring in my dad as his highest self.
So your dad comes in as his highest and best self, and he's visiting middle school Alex. And you're stuck, and your legs are trapped in the snow. What perspective does he give middle school Alex?
So in seeing me in this situation, he sees the moment when I'm about ready to give up. And he steps in and he looks at me and says to me, have you really given your best at this moment? Or are you just scared that your best won't be enough? And my reply to him is, I think I have a little bit more. At which point he both offers his hand and allows me to give of my best to break myself free.
And in this moment, what do you choose to believe about yourself?
When I give my best and I reach out to others, I will always find a way to be successful.
I will always find a way to be successful. How does middle school Alex feel about this?
Good. It's very relieving.
And how do you feel about this?
It's much more of a powerful state, like a weight being lifted off of me.
So how does middle school Alex want to celebrate this new belief?
Well, out in the snow and being able to, at that moment, just take the time to build something better out of, the crushed tunnel that was there. Make an awesome memory of everything around me right there.
So what are you building?
Building a fort and a snowman and just a big monument to the time we have together.
So now that you know, you will always find a way to. What do you choose to do? That in.
So I will post this as one of those things. I will also take that next big step on a couple of things I've been hesitant to start. There's some projects and even things at home that I can both to just get things going.
Let's get granular. Pick one project.
Pick one project. Well, digging through finances, getting started early on everything that's needed for taxes and business and all our financial statements right now.
P&L? Is that what you're thinking?
That's one of the big ones, yeah.
Cool.
P&L statement for the year before the year's done.
Do you feel complete?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow, give it up for them. Sub 10 minutes, way to rock it. Top marks. And I want to ask this question, Alex, what is it like for you? You could have had this breakthrough maybe by yourself or with somebody else, but instead with the woman that you live with, that you get to share your life with. How's it different for you being able to have that experience with her maybe compared to somebody else?
Well, the biggest thing that comes back to that is it keeps creating that relationship of trust. And anytime I've ever had a breakthrough with somebody, I trust them more than I did before. And I think doing that within our marriage a lot more often will really create a space of safety and strength.
Beautiful. Friends, can we give it up to both Kirsten and Alex? Way to go. Awesome job. Awesome job, you guys.
I just want to say something that I observed is that what Alex shared, that might be something that would be hidden in a marriage, that, you know, he might not feel confident about going to his wife and talking about how he feels about digging into his finances and things like that. And I'm sure that she's aware, but that space of neutrality is so valuable for him to feel confident to be able to just share anything.
Let's give him one more big round of applause. So I'm going to invite you to take your spouse's hand, close your eyes, take a deep breath in. And I want to invite you to imagine that some time has passed, but the two of you have done breakthrough work hundreds of times. I want to invite you to imagine that there's so much more depth of life lived and character and amazing shared experiences, really truly developing a oneness from understanding who each other is. Imagine you've been there hundreds of times for the emotional release. Imagine you've been there hundreds of times to see the pain washed away, to see the healing occur. Imagine that you've been able to experience this so many times that you feel unshakable in your collected experience that your marriage entity has created from not just doing the easy things in life, but also participating in the hard, challenging things. Just breathe that in, and I'm going to invite you to decide whether it makes sense for you to choose in to learning how to do breakthrough with your spouse. And you get to create whatever you want with this moment, but open your eyes and go ahead and stand up, face each other, get connected. And I'm going to give you 60 seconds for both of you to share with each other your commitment of maybe you don't feel ready or maybe you're not willing to make the commitment, but I'm giving you an opportunity. I'm giving you a what? And I'm giving you an opportunity to choose in to, I want to learn breakthrough with you to strengthen our marriage. And take 60 seconds and make the commitment that honors you. Begin. More seconds. And go ahead and acknowledge your spouse in the way that feels most appropriate. All right. Feel free to give your partner a hug. Big X, little O, big O, little X, big X, little O. Nacho. All right, friends, and if it honors you, I'm going to invite you to try these words on. I commit to mastering breakthrough. I do believe breakthrough with my spouse. We only process one trigger at a time. And I'm really good at going to Switzerland. I'm very good at being neutral. All right. Awesome. Give your neighbor a high five and say, I believe in you.
I just wanted to say, too, that one of the benefits that I've found, Matt and I are in that space already where we've done tons of breakthroughs for each other. And one benefit I find is that it makes it a lot easier to take ownership for what's yours and to leave ownership for what's not yours. Because when your partner's facilitating for you, you can't say, and this is all your fault, because you know you're the one in the breakthrough. And you have to take ownership in this whole new way. And so I think that really benefits.
Awesome, Bonnie. Can I hear some noise if you guys are finding some value with tonight's conversations? No, really, if you're really getting some good stuff out of this, let's hear it. Yeah! That's good, because now we're going to have the sex talk. I don't think it thinks what you think it means. Up to this point, I do want to share this. The things that we're sharing with you, they're not ideas from a book per se. This comes from Glenn and I, our life experience. And we've certainly had our hand at trying lots of things that don't work. And we have certainly found ourselves in our own fair share of messes. But the specific things we're sharing with you tonight they feel sacred because they are really a part of the divine makeup of bliss. They are how we have stepped into what we have. And this is the moment where I would normally self-deprecate and say, our marriage isn't perfect. And there would be so much of a lie to that statement because we've been working at this with such a great deal of commitment that on a very regular basis, we get to experience the joy that comes from living the things that we're sharing with you. When we invite you to take them seriously and to revisit them and to practice living these things until they become a part of who you are and your marriage.
I want to just make sure you all know that when Chris says perfect, it doesn't mean we don't ever get triggered, because we do. It means that when a trigger comes, we can address it properly. We can work through it quickly and move forward without letting it affect our connection. That is my definition of wholeness in a marriage. I know the word perfect is kind of a loaded word, so I don't love to use it, but a wholeness in our marriage and a safety in our marriage.
It's perfect. Gotcha. All right.
I'm triggered now.
All right. So friends, here's what we want to do. We're going to start diving into, honestly, some of the more difficult things that have created a lot of pain and sorrow. And as we do that, I just want to emphasize that for me, there is one of the highest degrees of sanctity for me is reserved with marriage. And something I'm not always perfect at, but that I'm really committed to getting really good with is making sure that I'm protecting the sanctity of marriage without lewd laughter or inappropriate jokes or poking fun, as I've done in the past at sex or sexual problems and things like that. The reality is that it's, for me, one of the absolute most beautiful parts of life, and it has also been one of the most painful issues I've ever had to deal with in trying to figure it out. And the reason why we want to go to this part of the conversation is because we really want to dive into the real counterfeits that keep us from connecting with each other. It's a conversation far greater than sex, but at the same time, sexual intimacy is an incredible gift to marriage. And, we might have couples here that neither have a primary or secondary love language, either of them, of physical touch. And yet, that sexual intimacy is such a key component. I believe, to developing a true oneness in every way that it possibly can be. It's what perpetuates our race. It's how we give birth. It's how we create families. And the love languages create so much more across the board. And so it is a sacred conversation. It's a special conversation. It's not one certainly taken lightly. And it's one I normally opt out of because I often find there's not an appropriate environment. But I see this as a very appropriate environment to really address this conversation. And so what I want to do is I want to just start by getting ideas from everyone here. We all know that the science says that the two top reasons for divorce are what and what? Money and sex. When I decided I wasn't going to be a doctor, I wasn't going to be a dentist, then I decided to share Colen's major, and we both graduated BYU Marriage, Family, Human Development. It's one of the top schools in the world for family sciences. And that was the statement that just got said over and over and over again. And having no sexual experience before being married and walking into, this situation I found extremely exciting and complex and weaponizable and all of these different things, it took Colen and I time. Frankly, we're still even working on it at times. How do we really figure this out? And it is something that has the power to destroy marriage as well as sanctify it. So what are some of the problems that we face in life when it comes to intimacy? Can I have someone take notes up here for me? Someone willing to do that? All right. Say selfishness destroys marriage. Okay, so we're going to talk about sexual problems. I'm going to put selfishness up there. Selfishness would lead, for example, to what? Pornography addiction, affairs, drug abuse. So selfishness is a gateway to all sorts of problems. Okay, great. What else do we have?
One thing that I've realized after years of being stupid is that oftentimes
that was such a good... the people on live stream just needed to hear that great phrase, so I'm going to give you the microphone.
One thing that I learned after years of being stupid is that so many times we use sex as the expression of love, but really it's the end. It's like, how do I say this properly? It's the result of everything building up to it. So really the love comes before that. The love comes in expressing love, and we use sex thinking that it's love instead of realizing that it's the culmination of the love that we share.
So would we all agree that sex can be fulfilling? And then it also has the power when done, I'll call it the wrong way, to be very unfulfilling, right? So sex can leave you empty depending on what its meaning is, okay?
In every marriage, there's a lower desire spouse. In every marriage, there's a lower desire spouse and a higher desire spouse. I don't care if you're talking about sex or going to a hockey game. There's lower desire and there's higher desire, and it doesn't mean you're broken. Like that's one of the biggest things is, oh, you're broken, or, oh, she doesn't want sex, I must not be lovable. There's so much that comes with it. It's just a normal situation. There's a higher desire partner. There's a lower desire partner.
Yeah, this is such a great comment. I want to be very specific. High libido or low libido, one is not better than the other. This isn't about addressing your libido or comparing your libido to your spouse and saying, well, you have more or less libido, hence you have a bigger problem or a better solution. It's actually loving each other. Let me ask you, does love have anything to do with libido? It actually doesn't. Could a spouse have permission to have a low libido and still choose to engage in sexual intimacy as a beautiful show and act of unconditional love? Yeah, absolutely. It's not about, well, I'd love to make love, but my libido is just really not very high right now, so I'm not. That's the selfish conversation. What was my face doing? Oh. All right. What are some of the other things to put on this list? Problems with sex. What are the problems we face with our sexual intimacy? Okay, creating time. Being vulnerable.